4:33, and if we could open up the Teaching and Learning Committee. Agenda review of this position?
Yes, just under where, discussion items where it says motivational video, we're going to show that at the end of both committee meetings while you eat tonight.
Okay.
Just that's going to be something we could push off. And then under non-public, I have a few things for personnel. That's it.
Approval of the minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes for January 19th? Bill? Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. SAT information.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next Wednesday, the 24th, we're taking the SATs here. That's the statewide test that all juniors have to take. Ours will be pen and pencil. There is no essay portion to it this year. We also piggyback on that day, as you well know, the SAU, the entire SAU, the 8th grade, they'll be taking the 8-9 PSAT. Our 9th graders will be taking the PSATs, and the 10th graders too. The seniors are on a college visit day and a career day. Hopefully they use that day to their advantage. They also, there's probably about 18 to 20 students that still have not turned in their digital to me, and they'll be expected to be there on that day on the 24th. Tomorrow, Bob is pre-registering all the juniors. Tomorrow, it's the proctors too had to go through a number of procedures to administer the test. I do want to give kudos to Mr. Price. He's put a lot of time and effort to make sure that this test goes out without a hitch. And that's on the 24th. And tomorrow, as I told you, we'll be registered as juniors, so they get that part out of the way. They do have, I have a motivational, Justin McKinney will be coming in. We're going to be live stream that for all the kids. He's the New Hampshire comedian. I think that's coming in on the 22nd. The motivational video that the teachers put together, you'll be seeing after this meeting. Again, kudos to Mary Boyle and Michael, Lena McLean and company. A lot of time and effort went into this. The kids looked at this last week, and following the video, they did a reflection sheet. I'd be happy to share that the kids' responses to you. Over 375 kids did answer the responses, and they're well received. Tonight's a busy night. Following the committee meetings here, we're inducting 36 new members into the National Honor Society. The guest speaker tonight, the kids chose, is Dan LeBlanc. And we are also hosting tonight the banquet dinner for the state champions, the Alpine boys ski team, and Mr. Cleary, Mr. Austin's Division III wrestling. That's at 5 o'clock. 6 for the National Honor Society, and they'll hors d'oeuvres to follow with them too. Is that it for me? And then I would, on the SAT, let me introduce Randy as our CTE director, and he will inform you of the evaluation that we received from the Department of Education concerning 3 of our career tech programs. Randy?
Good evening. As Mr. Parsons said, we had monitoring on February 12th. The Department of Ed came to visit our CTE programs. The purpose of the monitoring is to identify strengths and areas in need of improvement in terms of New Hampshire state and federal program compliance. Basically, that's it focuses on Perkins 5 and the federal funding that we get from that and RSA compliance. There was a center-wide monitoring as well as 3 of the 6 programs. Monitoring has changed a little bit. This is the first year of a new procedure that they have. They'll be monitoring every year. Instead of once every 5 years, they're going to come every year. Some of the domains center-wide were that they looked at CTE space, our new space, inventory controls, work-based learning opportunities, enrollment numbers, and our programs, if they're in the program of studies that are outlined. Program-specific domains, the programs that were monitored this year were health science, drafting, and the third was health science,
Marketing?
drafting, and marketing. Thank you. Attention. Program-wise, they looked at the program advisory committees that we have, post-secondary connections. The programs were aligned with industry. Industry recognized credentials that the students may be able to get, and competency, practice, and reporting. Happy to say that the monitoring, the report that we got, the corrective report, there were only two things that they reported to us to work on, and that was identifying industry recognized credentials in marketing and in drafting. And we've already, I believe, found a credential for drafting, possibly Autodesk out of Manchester, which Autodesk is the company that owns and created CAD, two-dimensional and three-dimensional design. So it was a very good visit. They were very pleased with our programs. It went well, and I was happy with the way that it went. So I could provide copies of the monitoring report if anybody would like that. Just let me know.
Any questions for Randy? They'll be coming back again, as Randy said, to look at our other 3 programs in the future, but we're in real good shape, both curriculum, obviously facility-wise, with those programs. So we welcome them to come in, their feedback, obviously, after spending a majority of the portion they did for the state to increase this program. A couple of things I need to also inform you on. This committee will be receiving at next meetings. Randy has worked with the faculty council on revising the faculty handbook. Didn't want to give it to you tonight. There's some minor changes. We haven't looked and revised that handbook in a long time. So hopefully you'll get I've sent it over to the SAU, and you'll be getting that so you have time to go through and look at some of the changes that we're recommending. Also, you'll be getting in May, Randy and Todd will be revising the student handbook that needs to be sent out for printing. There'll be small changes, revisions to that too also. So those will be policy issues you'll be looking at in the near future. I also received from the Students for Diversity from Plymouth Regional High School a lot of information concerning transgender and gender non-conforming students policies. And as I meet with the students in that club, I will be coming forth with some policies regarding those issues surrounding that. And again, a lot of it came from the School Boards Association that I've looked at from other schools that do have a lot of these policies. But I'll keep you informed as I gather the information from the groups and work with them as we look towards adding policies around these issues. Mm-hmm. Questions?
Can I just ask on the SAT, is that statewide date?
Yes. Oh, no, they had an open window that schools could have chose. We chose the latter one.
Which one?
We chose the end one.
Oh, really?
They started, I think, March 3rd, right, Kyle, around there?
Yeah, they started a few weeks ago, yeah.
Well, it seems early.
No, it's in the ballpark.
The testing was, what, in May, we came back from April vacation, was when we had the state accountability, wasn't it?
Well, we
so
do
now it's the statewide test.
Oh, I know, but that, I'm just saying it's almost now a month early.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And last piece, March 18th, myself, Mr. Price, and Kylie Cap will be attending a follow-up seminar for NEASC. We'll be looking at that report and I'll be bringing that back to the committee. Again, the initial report was really, really good, outstanding, but they're putting the finishing touches on it, and I should be receiving some further information after my meeting on the 18th with the NEASC.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Parsons? All right, motivational, oh, that's coming later, right?
Yeah.
Motivational video. So it looks like we need to go into non-public session for personnel. Do I hear a motion to go into non-public for personnel? Okay, Phil and Tim? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll call the school operation committee meeting to order at 5:06. Agenda review and disposition. I do know that we are moving the motivational video onto this agenda.
Yeah, we're gonna put it at the end, and then under discussion items, if you could add COVID travel
COVID travel. Okay.
restrictions update.
All right, approval of minutes from January 19th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Bonnie, seconded by Peter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? End of the year student activities.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As we move forward into the spring sports will be starting the 29th. There are some schools that are choosing to go April 5th, but that's their decision. The NHIA is recommending we start the 29th. Friday I have an executive council meeting, and we'll be coming back with recommendations on what spring sports should look like regarding a mask, no mask. Keep in mind, this state still has a mask mandate, so that could change. If it does, the NHIA will look at that as we go through. Right now, the Sports and Medicine Committee is looking at that when they'll make recommendations to us on Friday. Obviously, then I'll bring them back to Kyler and go from there. We don't start till the 29th though for our spring sports. There are spring sports that are working with just skills and drills, as they call it. I know softball is, lacrosse is, but take a look outside. We're gonna get a good jump. Hopefully we don't, knock on wood, get another snowstorm. But the courts are clean, tennis courts are clean. Parking lot was beautiful for Saturday, so our lacrosse will go out there. And well, kids are really looking forward, because keep in mind, last spring we canceled everything. So we're looking forward to getting started on the 29th. As we move forward, I've met with the senior class officers, and it's just speculation. Nothing is hardcore or set in stone. But I have made arrangements with John Francis, through Kyle's permission, to rent a tent. We wanted to get ahead of other schools just in case, because we didn't know what graduation would look like. We are planning to do graduation on the football field. We would have the stage, like I had last year, set up in front of the condominium. And the students would be on the field themselves, just those chairs. It would be pretty informal for the guests. I don't think we would have to limit guests. We haven't done that with football. And they would sit in the stands also, just around the hill.
There's plenty of room.
Yeah, it's a small class too, keep in mind. The kids would come out down the hill like the Bobcat Nation does. They'd come marching down through the side off to the right here, which would be a nice tradition I'd like to set up. It'd be the first time we're really, really home in the back. We can handle parking on that piece. Security would be a big break. I'd just be dealing with Plymouth, a policeman here, probably in Highland Street, Merrill, and up here on the hill. As I told you, Mary Raymond, the kids have asked her to be the commencement speaker. She did agree. So graduation I've got full in hand. We do have the tent. I have the tent to keep the tent. I think if it's a real hot day, whatever, people could come under the sun. If I had to, also for handicap and that piece, I'm thinking We could live stream if we had to from there if people were sitting there. We are looking at that in regards to the awards, senior awards, and possible the prom. I'm getting wind that these places are opening, and if they did, would I want to look at the Grapponi Center, which have been for years, or do we want to stay out back? The tent can hold approximately 200. When I met with the senior class, they talked about just the seniors and the possibility of food trucks. I've already investigated the food trucks. I'm a little concerned with the price. I'm not happy with the price of some of the food trucks I've been dealing with, but I've got other options I could do food-wise, catering and that stuff. I'm not worried about that. If we did do the tent out back, that would be just the dance floor. I would have the food in the cafeteria. I'd class it up a bit, take all the tables, put the high tops down there. And the seniors were pretty good. They said, obviously Ms. Parsons, we couldn't bring a date, so it'd just be the seniors. But again, what does June look like? I'm preparing that. I'm getting a disc jockey. I've got the tent, so I can do the awards out there one night, the prom, graduation, and go from there. But again, I've got plan A and plan B as we move forward. And I am working hand in hand with Kyler, and I'm working with the seniors too. I could do the yearbook. I don't see us doing a yearbook assembly showing the senior video. I can't just fit that many kids in the gym and go that way. So that piece would probably have to go off. If we didn't do the yearbook assembly for the seniors, do I do like I did last year and present the yearbook and the diploma when they walk across the stage? So a lot of those, we're ready, but again, nothing's set. The only thing set in stone would be graduation out back. We can do that. And a rain date would be the Sunday. The worst scenario, if we get back with a hit with another outbreak again, I'll go right back out front and keep them in their cars. But, we're gonna do something for them. They know that, okay? And we'll pull it off with, making sure that we don't violate any of the rules. So, because the juniors, they will have their prom, it could be a junior, senior prom next year, but these kids got nothing. They got nothing last year, so just to do something for our seniors this year would be a big, big deal. Questions, comments? I'll worry about the food, we'll figure something out.
I think it sounds great. Yeah, I think it sounds great.
I think it might keep me out of the doghouse, so I think it's great.
Thank you.
Any other updates on spring sports, or just what you covered in the?
No, I think I covered the spring sports, and I will get back to you. I'll let Kyla know what the council voted on, and summer projects is Kyla.
Summer project.
If you don't mind, I'm going to do the COVID piece real quick, because that's quick, and the summer projects take a little bit longer. So, the governor did ease travel restrictions, so that is going to be a new question on the screener and what we can allow right now. Remember before it was, you couldn't travel out of New England, and it was required quarantine when the kids came back for 7 days, and then they had to take a PCR test. Well, it's been eased more, and so we've always gone with what the governor's recommendations have been, and right now it's if you've traveled internationally, you have to quarantine for 6 days before you get a PCR test. So I'd like to update that immediately to reflect that because that's not something we typically police, and nor do I really want to. So people can now travel domestically, vaccinated or not, without a required quarantine when they return.
One of the students, one of the 18-year-olds and whatnot scheduled to be vaccinated, I know it was 1A and 2B and 3C and whatever, what time frame was that?
So they're in the last phase, and so 18 and over is approved for all of the vaccines. 16 and over, only the Pfizer vaccine. So that's I don't know. I don't know. It's happened so fast that who knows when it's going to be eligible. But we did have our vaccination clinic for our SAU staff, and I have to say we have close to 90% who sign up for that. We've already had many vaccinated beforehand because they qualified, like they were speech pathologists or they work for the ambulance service. And so they will all have their second shots at the beginning of April. So that's a light at the end of the tunnel here for that piece for sure. So that's it on the COVID front. Any questions on that? We're going to update our documents to reflect that, and Bruce will meet with the union as well, just to update them.
So just for clarity, this is just an informational for us because I believe we've already established that you guys can update the plan as it seems fit
Yep.
to move forward. So
Yep.
just an informational, there's no motion for us required to take to the full board.
Yeah, yeah.
Kyla, with the CDC changing to 3 feet, will that make any difference? Will that afford more comfortability?
So our plan already says 3 to 6 feet. So we went with the American Pediatrics recommendation, which has always been 3 to 6 feet. We strive for 6 feet, but some of our classrooms are within 6 feet as well. Yeah, so that's already.
They mask up and they get mask break. They'll keep the mask on.
If they're within 6 feet, they do put a mask on.
Any other questions before we move to summer projects?
No?
Summer projects.
All right. Now that the budget has passed, we're looking at how we're doing this year so far with the budget. And it looks like we will have significant savings, and I'll tell you the areas right now that I'm looking at is around special ed. We have had a few students move out of the district that had, I would say, it looks like a savings of at least $600,000 in special ed tuition and about $200,000 in addition to that around special ed transportation. So that just gives you a sense in those two categories. And then remember, we did have a savings of about $140,000 in health insurance as well, and then an additional reimbursement from Health Trust for that piece. So but it's quite a bit. So that's the piece I want to share with you now. As far as, am I missing any other categories as far as that piece? So I met with, Bruce and I have met with John Francis to go over possible capital improvements to address this summer instead of raising additional funds for the next year. So I would just like to go through them. A lot of it is nothing new. There are a few things in there that I would like to review with you as a possible project as well. So the first one is the security camera upgrades. That is in your capital improvement plan. That's a redo of all that's upgrading all of the security cameras. We have a lot that are not in place
They're outdated, guys, and especially in the main part of the building, which causes us some issues if we're investigating something. They don't work like the parts in the CTA.
Yeah.
So we haven't touched them in maybe 10, 15 years.
The other piece are the elevator repairs. So that's just repairs that need to be done to the elevators to keep them within code. The paving, so the other piece that John and Bruce and I were looking at is the main road, you know, where the buses cut, the one with all the bumps is addressing that for pavement. And then just to go around the culvert repairs and then the sidewalks. Well, not the whole thing, but at least that main area from the SAU office. You all know, you know which road I'm talking about. So that's that project that we could address. So the windows, siding, trim, and shades, that addresses some of the capital needs in the SAU office. So that's sometimes a piece that is addressed at the high school too. So that's something we talked about at the beginning of the year as far as just addressing little issues, since there's nothing that's been done there in several years. Carpet and flooring. So that's combined at the high school and the SAU office, just to get an upgrade with that in the admin areas. Security at the SAU office, so that is just, the locks sometimes, so we're just upgrading so locks work and stuff like that. So that's just a piece in the front office there. A 6-foot griddle with double oven. So this is it's an oven from 1983 that was moved from the CTE center down, from the old CTE center down to the cafeteria that needs to be replaced.
And we own all that equipment.
Yeah.
So we have to repair that and replace it.
Cafeteria ceiling tiles and grid, so that's downstairs, it's just the ceiling tiles with that piece. And then there's P&R stands for the Park and Rec buildings. So those are something that the high school assumes as well. So converting the electric heat to propane, which will save money in the long run, which we've done in a few of the other buildings. The original roof of Parks and Rec is over 25 years old, so it's replacing that piece. The aerator for the field, so as John told me, there's a connection between how hard the field is and the rate and the concussion pieces, so it's just an attachment to the tractor.
Correct.
That would allow us to do that more frequently, so we can soften up some of the fields for that piece. Now, I'm not an expert in all these areas, so don't ask, I can have John come back and answer some questions on this, but a loader, a 4320, which is a tractor replacement, the tractor is 11 years old, and said it needs to be replaced. And then the last piece is gator tracks, which is to groom the Nordic trails. So with the gator, you take off the wheels, put on the gator tracks, and that this way it can let us get down to the ski jump as well to pull the toboggan out of there if we really needed to, if there was a safety issue, as well as groom all the Nordic trails, which is done now by Chris Sanborn's snowmobile.
Great.
So we have, it's just a list to consider early, because I know that's something that we wanted to look at, just making sure that we lower that number at the end of the year, so we don't get stuck where we were last year.
The tractor, we've been after it for many, many years, as many of you know, but we've always cut that at the end, and we have an opportunity now. They're on load over there on that piece.
Roger, not on the committee, but I have a question. Is this our share of the Parks and Rec, or don't we share that with the town and everybody else?
So the building, yeah, do you want to, yeah, you can talk about
Oh, well, I was
that.
just gonna say the salaries we do,
Yeah,
and then direct reflection of what's, related to the schools, what's related to the towns, there's different budgets for that.
Or we don't
typically
share
assume that,
theirs?
not the buildings on
Not
campus.
always security
Yeah.
equipment, because the equipment doesn't really get used for the town, just get used as
In the
used at
buildings.
campuses. The roof, I guess, could be something negotiable, but that's not going to be in the town budget or other capital.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on this campus, so.
It's all coming out of the same, well,
Yeah.
not really, kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of.
It's all coming out of your wallet.
Definitely.
Any other questions? Because Tim, that was actually going to be my question, so thank you for asking that for me.
Barbara?
Could you tell me what the extension note is on the Park and Rec load of 4320? It says does not, and it comes off.
Oh, it's on my
Does
computer.
not include something.
Yeah, those were just John's notes. I can get that for you in a quick minute.
From a non-committee member.
Absolutely. We have time to actually digest this information tonight, and then our full board, hoping that it all
Won't have
comes there
to
to talk about it.
Absolutely. I guess the loader, the need for that, that's quite a chunk of money that, I know, Bruce, you said we tried to get it in the budget, but to add things, on, I'm usually of the frame of mind that it's either should be an emergency, safety,
It's always the first thing we
or
got, Phil, it's pretty old.
unanticipated, something when we looking to expend any potential or surplus monies. So I guess I'd just like to know why the need? Is the other one ready to break down, or?
That's what he had said. And then the note quickly on that same question was, does not include the trade-in, he's hoping for 15,000.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
It does not include the trade-in where he's hoping for 15,000.
So it could be 34,000 instead of 40.
Correct.
Correct.
The other thing, do we have a capital reserve fund for maintenance issues?
For just regular maintenance issues? We have the
Well,
capital.
no,
Oh, like a reserve?
yeah, capital reserve.
I don't think you typically, I don't think the high school has done that. Some of the elementary schools have that as well.
So we're actually encumbering.
It would just be purchase orders for the end of the year, not encumbering for the next year, yeah. Out of this year's funds.
My last one, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
It seems though last year sometime, I think it was last year, Superintendent Halloran spoke to the value in looking at renovation, reconstruction of the SAU office. And I think that's when one thought was to start a capital reserve fund for that. So I don't know if that could be, should be added to this. But if that's the case, I don't know if any more thought are given to that. And if that was going to move forward, would you still want to be doing some of the things that you're doing to the SAU office? I don't necessarily need an answer now, but for the next meeting, maybe?
No, I can actually answer some of that now, because I've talked to John Francis quite a bit
Okay.
about that, and to Mark as
Yeah.
well. And there are, according to, I think that was more brainstorming about maybe what you want to do way in the future, like
Okay.
more in the future. If New Hampshire enrollments continue to decrease, you want to move the SAU, one of the buildings, or what you want to do. But from what I've talked to with John, he feels that he can just replace and just maintain the building where it is. It's just on a slab, so there's a lot that hasn't been addressed there, and I think some of those issues can be talked about at the SAU board meeting as well. But it's definitely something that we have in mind. We've talked to him as well, as far as he said, he can fix what's there too. I think a whole renovation would have a much heftier price tag.
It's also a good opportunity because we've got to replace the windows in the front where we're doing, so at the same time, take the opportunity for the SAU too. Randy's area, the nurses area, I mean, the wind just comes right through. So,
Yeah.
So is the idea to move all of these projects up, or pick and choose at the full board meeting?
I would like to move all of them, and I can give you, there's still gonna be additional unreserved fund balance towards the end of the year. I just think that earlier we can get started on some of these, and John can just because construction's huge right now, and I think a lot of our projects are gonna start earlier than anticipated, so.
Well, we can move the entire thing up and then have a more full discussion at the full board.
And I can bring John to the full board to discuss
And I think it would be
specifics. Yeah.
I think it'd be good to bring John to the full board, so questions like Phil has and others might have some questions too that only he can answer.
That he knows much more about the
Yeah.
loader than I do, yes.
Yeah. So if you need that motion, I'll make that motion.
I would like to have that motion, and thank you, Sam. Do I have a second? Second that. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Roger, I did some pricing of materials and stuff, and the construction right now is through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
The guy I was talking to said, you may want to wait a while until next year when things drop back down. So, just something
If they drop that.
for him to maybe consider when he looks at some of these projects. Waiting might be better, I just.
Yeah, sometimes he thinks kind of globally as far as the SAU, so if you know, he's doing a roof here, maybe he's doing 4 other roof projects in the district, so he can, he can answer all of that, yeah, yeah.
And I do encourage you, Tim, to have these questions at the next full board meeting with John here as well, and I'll have some more questions as well as anyone else in the room. So, hearing no other discussion, may I have a vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The ayes on the committee overwhelm the nays that I did not hear at all, so that's perfect. The next thing we have is the motivational update, motivational video. I don't know if we want to close our meeting and then play that.
I would like to do that, yeah.
I actually did see the video. I thought it was very good, so it will be some great things for us to watch. Do we have any other discussion items?
No.
We have a reason to go into non-public.
No.
So our next meeting will be scheduled for April 20th of this subcommittee. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Let's say a motion to adjourn, Peter being the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.